And the students, the format of this is the students have already pre-recorded their project presentation. And then there's an opportunity to make comments afterwards. We'll try and keep them all kind of short and succinct.
Definitely. And as long as we have permission from Minte and the rest of the students, we'd love to put those recordings on our website, the Aberdeen landing page, and that way we can make sure that everyone gets a chance to provide feedback. And
yep. So what I'll do is I'm going to make one big video removing some of the noises out or technical difficulties, but I will also pass the individual presentation videos to you as well separately, so that you have some selected few that you want to share with somebody that you can do too. I just put the names of students in the chat box. That's the order of presentation. Okay, I think we'll begin. Welcome everyone to the final presentation for our Aberdeen Gardens project. The students will play the pre-recorded presentation, and then they'll answer afterward in person, not in person, but yeah, live. Okay, so Anaja, you want to start?
Hi everyone, my name is Anaja Head, and as you all know, Aberdeen Gardens was a neighborhood built on a foundation of African Americans owning and improving the quality of their own lives through architecture and gardening. So here, I just wanted to start with showing the Aberdeen Gardens sign, built by Negroes for Negroes. I think that is really important when it comes to how I really went into designing. With that being said, I came up with the concept of Victory Children. I wanted to focus on educating the children of the community on the history of Aberdeen, as well as connecting them to Victory Gardens, which we know were gardens grown in backyards during World War II. So my goals and objectives include building a program that introduces additions to keep the space relevant, active, and useful to users, as well as making the site more walkable. So that means adding more sidewalks because, as you guys know, there's not a lot of sidewalks in this area. And along with the sidewalks, I wanted to kind of add those like rain garden implements where you'd have those grasses and those like planting setbacks. And from there, I also wanted to add on more playing equipment and redesigning the ball field that you guys already have. Also, I wanted to give the surrounding community a familiar space that celebrates their customs and traditions. So that'd be the connection to former Victory Gardens and connect them to the museum. And I also wanted to bring back agricultural amenities and providing a space for people to enjoy nature and protect the environment while encouraging community health via accessibility to active recreation and access to healthy foods through the farmers market, the community kitchen, and the community garden. And when I say connection to former Victory Gardens, I'm thinking of just having like signage on the gardens around the community to show the significance of the war gardens. And with the connection to the museum, I'd like to use that as another formal community gathering space for art exhibits, history lessons, annual events, and things like that. My design started with 4 ideas, a focus on gathering, recreation, history, and agriculture. From there, I was able to start drawing what I believed felt most natural and a sense of having order. So as you can see with just the bubble diagram, we have the 2 recreational areas where you already have the existing ball field and the existing basketball court. And then on the side of that, we have agriculture, which would be the community garden and an educational garden, and then like history would be the connection to the Victory Gardens, whether that be just signage, and from there you have the community gathering spaces. So here we have the master plan, and as you can see, majority of the design work takes place at the school, and then we have like the farmers market at the currently existing barbershop. And then from there, I didn't do any site design for it, but we have like the museum, which will be connected. The program includes a community kitchen, area with seating, greenhouses for a variety of plants that grow during different seasons, and compost bins. From there, we will have the orchard trees, community garden to be used by all, the outdoor classroom surrounded by a herb garden, a picnic lawn, an education garden primarily to be used by students, the new natural playground with parental seating across from it, a recreation lawn to be used for whatever needs the visitor may have, and a multi-purpose game field, as well as the existing basketball court, which will be repainted just to kind of match the multi-purpose game field, which would be all turf. Across the street from the school will be the community market, which can be used to host farmers markets, fish fries, and more. And like my hometown community, we also had a community market at our barbershop, so I thought this was like a really cool thing to implement, especially with like primarily like Black community. I think it's really great to just like bring people together for whether that be like getting fresh produce or even, you know, like if you guys did like a Sunday soul food type of thing. So this is just showing like what the play areas would be like. Since this is on school property, it's important to give the children space to play, interact with each other, and enjoy themselves. So yeah, we have the natural play area, the recreational lawn, and obviously the multi-purpose ball field. This is kind of how I envisioned it. So we have my like clipping of the master plan with a little bit of site design perspective below it. And from there, we had the community gathering. I wanted to focus on really bringing the community together, mainly because of the history of Aberdeen as a Black community being built by Black community members, and bring that history to the forefront as we design. The community market on Sundays at the barbershop, or whatever day you guys feel suits you guys best. And then art exhibits and community gatherings at the museum. And then the community kitchen, again, fresh produce grown by the community and cooked in the community. So from there, we have the gardens. We'll have just the main community garden, a garden that is specifically for the school programming, and a herb garden that borders the outdoor classroom. And that's kind of how I envisioned it. So we'll have like these large planter boxes, the orchard trees on the side, and then from there you go into the community garden with it has like a fountain and then the herbs around it. So yeah. And that is the end of my design. Thank you guys.
Very good.
Yep, go for any questions or comments.
That was very good.
Thank you. Do I need to go
Thank
back
you.
to anything, or that's good?
That was good, Aniju. Thank you. You did a good job.
Yeah, lovely renderings. You know, one thing we might have to think about for that active space is having, you know, a little more shade, maybe just for folks who are, you know, playing on those fields, something like that. But I think that they're good designs that incorporate a lot of things that we've talked about. So it looks great.
Thank you.
I would say that one of the things I liked about your design is that you actually kept the forested area forested. And so there is still a lot of shade on the property, and it also, you conveyed keeping the green next to the stream too, which is, I think, a good resilient strategy. And I think that it looks like it would be a nice gift to the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay.
I just joined. This is Shelton. I just joined. I didn't see it, but I will get back to it. Thank you.
Okay, Bob, next person.
Good afternoon. My name is Bob Matson, and this is my proposal for the Aberdeen Gardens Community. Before getting into the details, I developed a list of goals and criteria to help guide my design process. One being to integrate community agriculture to Aberdeen Gardens. Two, to promote cleaner water quality and stormwater harvesting. And three, to create a central gathering space for the community. After visiting the site and meeting with community members throughout the semester, I was able to get a better understanding of what the residents want for their neighborhood. This diagram illustrates how the designs program will be organized at Aberdeen Elementary and across the street at the shopping strip. Moving forward to the design, I will walk you through the site master plan. As one arrives at the elementary school on the south side, there will be a designated drop-off and waiting area connected to the parking lot. This will be the formal entrance to the park. Also near the entrance and parking lot will be the community garden. The site for the designed community garden makes it optimal for dropping off and picking up materials and tools. This garden space will be able to support sheds, compost bins, greenhouses, and dozens of garden beds. Onto the rest of the park, there is a half-mile paved walking path that loops around the perimeter. Along the path, visitors are able to experience various activities. This park design takes advantage of the existing trees by using them as a place for children to play in nature. Kids are encouraged to get back in touch with the environment through natural play elements such as tree swings, tree forts, climbing logs, and a ropes course. Further along the path, visitors will now be able to enjoy the stream as it will be restored and beautified with new vegetation. There will also be a second pedestrian entrance that connects to the edge of East Weaver Road. As we look up towards near the north parking lot, the plan is to replace the existing basketball courts and playground to make an all-in-one play zone. This will include 2 multi-purpose sport courts, 2 pavilions, and a new playground. This will help accommodate the elementary school kids while they have recess. This design will enhance the existing fields in the center of the park. I understand by listening to community members that it is important to maintain these recreational fields as this is a place where kids like to play football. This plan calls to update the existing baseball diamond with new facilities such as dugouts and bleachers, while keeping the field open for various types of sports. And then along Aberdeen Road, across from the elementary school, will be the site for the community market to take place. By adding in a crosswalk in the middle of the street, there will be clear and safe accessibility from the elementary school to the market. Here's an image of the community garden to help show some of the programmatic elements I plan to include. As you can see, there will be raised garden beds for vegetables, a pavilion for shade during possible workshops, rain barrels to help collect water coming off the roof, and a greenhouse. Here are some more character images to help imagine what could be here. Along with the greenhouse and a pavilion and standard garden beds could be the opportunity to introduce hydroponic growing systems to kids and community members. Here's a section drawing to show the strategy for restoring and beautifying the stream. To give greater visual access, there will be a 15-foot paved path on the edge. The bank of the stream will then be stabilized with a more gradual slope and more vegetation. This will all help create a cleaner water quality and make a more prettier landscape. Here are some of the chosen water and shade tolerant plant material to help create a buffer along the stream. These plants will help stabilize the bank by allowing their roots to drive into the soil and minimize erosion. Along the lower slopes where the water is shallow, smaller plants in this area will be able to tolerate poor water quality for a short period of time as it filters out pollutants. The upper slopes of the edge can contain larger plant material such as shrubs and smaller trees to help create nicer aesthetics. Here are some character images for the play zone to help imagine what this place could be. As you can see, there is a colorful child's playground, a multi-use sport court that can accommodate basketball, badminton, hockey, and foursquare, and then the playground pavilion to help provide shade and shelter. And the nature play area that I discussed earlier, here we can visualize the different elements like the log climbing circuit, tree tire swing, tree fort, and rope structure. And finally, here's a closer look for the plan for the community market. As you can see, there's a crosswalk to safely direct people from the school. This crosswalk connects the sidewalk on both sides of the road. In the parking lot of the shopping strip, you can comfortably fit about 13 10 by 10 foot pop-up tents by creating 2 rows. I think this space is optimal for its proximity to the community garden, the park, and the visibility along the street. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed.
Thanks, Bob. This is Michael. I really appreciate the detail you both, Anijah and Bob, showed to being cognizant of the fact that kids needed somewhere to play. I like the designs of both of them. I really appreciate it. That's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also appreciate the stormwater management component, and especially thinking about the stream restoration, which is obviously an important component of this as well. In terms of like a paved path, I think probably we should consider something like pervious pavers or something that had some infiltration opportunities as well. But that's, like I said, it's an important component, so I'm glad you've included that as well.
Thank you.
Hello, this is Shelton. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I like the idea of the paved paths as well. The playground area, I was the entry for the garden, that was on the other side of the playground, opposite side of the playground, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So is there I was trying to figure, is there a way to connect from the garden to the playground without going all the way around?
Garden to the playground. There is like a direct path that links them. I can share my screen real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, this path right here.
Okay, yeah, the one that walks right across. Okay, from the trailers. Okay. And Mike, I believe we discussed trying to get rid of those trailers.
Yeah, we would really like to get rid of the trailers and that old playground that's over there. So I was envisioning the fact, although everything they got planned, those trailers gone, and that old playground they got to move it to the other side. So I'm taking it all in.
Yeah, but it's a good rendering. I like I definitely like that pathway and the use of the natural playground.
Yeah, and I think Bob said that there was a half-mile track or something around it.
Yeah,
so
it's about a half mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. But to your point, it does need to be pervious.
Permeable.
Yeah, I would echo Ross's comment. I think this is a really nice design. I love that you've added floodplain restoration into your plan, and added the rain barrels and water reuse. And it is a good idea to just add some more stormwater management. into everybody's plans is my guess, because it's downstream that they're also having a lot of problems. And so when you try and build, you've created a wonderful social resilient plan and started thinking about the stormwater management and flood resilience. And so actually around where number 13 is, there's actually a stormwater feature there. It's like a big dry pond.
Okay.
And, so there's some opportunity, and that captures all this water that comes off the building, and it doesn't really get treated. So for everybody's sake, trying to capture more stormwater coming off the building and treating it some way in a low impact way is also a good thing to add. But it's a nice plan, and the graphics are really nice too. I think you did a good job of presenting it. And I like that you integrated some plant material into it as well. Native plant material. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Grace Persley, and this is my project proposal for Aberdeen Gardens. So looking at the site, some of the key elements that I took from it, looking at the opportunities of constraints of what could be in the space. Some of the constraints were there's no open vacant lots. So really utilizing the space that we have and the plots that we have. Some opportunities is there's a lot of traffic on some of these streets, and so opportunity for welcome signage, sense of place. Also improving the pedestrian quality when walking around in the neighborhood. That was something that I noticed, is that there was not a lot of sidewalks. And so getting to these places was really difficult if you don't have sidewalks. Some other opportunities were those of the elementary school as a plot of land. So thinking about incorporating educational programs in the large open space that's next to the elementary school as community gathering space or possible space for revenue generation. Some of the constraints were the risk of storm surge. Just something to be aware of is that when there is flooding in the area, where is that water going? How is it affecting the community? And maybe creating some opportunities of proposing a plan of a better way to deal with water and give a place for water to go when the inevitable water storm surge does happen. And also an opportunity to look at connections to the neighborhood and the site, so where people are entering, and if they live in different places in the neighborhood, what are some different connections that they can be able to easily get into the space. Some goals and objectives that I establish are improving the pedestrian network of the neighborhood and promoting spaces for communal gathering to strengthen neighborhood values and spirit. Celebrating the history of Aberdeen Gardens and the rich history of the communities and families that are from there, and find ways to kind of introduce or reintroduce that agricultural history that's so deep in the site, and also creating a successful water management model to prevent this neighborhood from flooding, and maybe even being able to use water for agricultural productions. The concept was kind of my way of thinking about what this place could be and what values I really wanted to focus on. So thinking about remembrance, renewal, and resilience as the three key elements. Remembrance centered in looking back to the community of the past. So finding opportunities through design to celebrate the rich history of this neighborhood, and to really allow visitors to understand it as they're walking along this neighborhood and along the site. Renewal, which is centered around growth of community. So creating opportunities for education and gathering so that members of the community really have an opportunity to grow and prosper. So thinking about the next generation, that we're providing those opportunities for them to grow. Also incorporating principles of permaculture, and then resilience, which is really centered in looking at the community in the future. So making sure that the community is able to withstand flooding risks and is able to prosper with changing conditions. So looking at water and where water is going on the site, that creating a better plan of where that water is going when there is a storm, so that it's not hurting communities and hurting families. So some of the strategies for dealing with water in the neighborhood, some of the issues that I identified was the really high water table, as well as storm surges that were a possibility. So as I mentioned before, providing places for water to go that is not near homes, or is not hurting homes, I should say. Improving that riparian buffer, and just the quality of stream health, and the ecology of that stream in general. And then being able to capture water off of roofs to be able to use in cisterns, so that you can reuse water as something that, in agricultural purposes, that can really help as a community building opportunity. So first, we're going to look at the Aberdeen Elementary School space in a little bit more detail. For analysis, I looked at kind of the conditions of sunlight, and when thinking about community gardens, sunlight was something that I really needed to consider. So looking at where it would be optimal for that. Something that I decided would be really, really helpful is for the school to possibly give some of this land back to the community. So I'm proposing changing the parcels of this site, just so that there's a clear line between where the school is and where the community gathering spaces are, but also creating opportunities for it to feel cohesive as a space as well. So one of the things that I did was create a main circulatory path that goes along the edge of the site right here. I hope you can see my mouse. And this would be something that you could access from the parking lots. So if you need to have vehicles for maintenance, as well as setting up for events, all that agriculture needs, you need vehicles to be able to move things around, and all of the stuff that comes with that. So being able to have vehicular access is very important. And then a secondary circular path that connects this neighborhood below, as well as a boardwalk that connects to this area over here. So some of the areas are the overflow extended wetland that goes along right here, as well as the sports courts, the fields, the nature playground area. This is the agricultural community garden space, so greenhouse and storage, garden space, the orchard space right here, the pollinator garden right here, as well as the Aberdeen Plaza area right here, which is really flexible space for community gathering, including a pavilion, as well as a test kitchen. So the first place that we're going to look at is the Langston Memorial Walk. This is part of the wetland boardwalk area. It honors John Mercer Langston, a famous attorney from this neighborhood. He was the dean of the law school at Howard, a really important historical figure in the history of the U.S. as well as the history of this neighborhood. So there would be sculptural pillars within the landscape that would have the names of the original community members, 158 of them commemorating the 158 original homes. So it's a space that's really designated for flooding. So if there's a big storm event, it's a place that water can go, as well as just a beautiful kind of more intimate space for people to really understand the history of this area. This is kind of the edge condition of the stream, existing as well as proposed. Some of the issues with the existing is that there's kind of just a stark drop off of the edge condition, which causes a lot of issues for not really having any slope stabilization. So a lot of things can just easily fall off of it, as well as looking at invasive species, just not a very ecologically healthy place. So I'm proposing that we kind of look at this condition a little bit closer, looking at 3 different regions. So the aquatic region, the riparian region, and the upland region. So we can just have a healthier edge condition in general. This is the community garden space with 88 accessible planter beds and integrated water collection within the planters, as well as an orchard. So thinking about different ways of agriculture. It's not just planter beds. And it would have a greenhouse and education center, as well as a pollinator garden. So thinking about a closed loop system of how agriculture interacts with other elements, with insects and other kind of the whole system of everything that is needed to produce food. So it's a community gathering space as well as an education place. There would also be cisterns and compost next to the building that would help facilitate these operations. This is the Aberdeen Community Plaza. So it'd be a pavilion for a farmer's market, as well as performance space. It would have a test kitchen, and it's really a flexible community gathering space that can be used and transformed from daytime to nighttime. Seating I'm seeing as being very flexible so that you're able to transition the space as needed for the programmatic elements. There would also be grills for fish fries and just an overall place for community get to gather and a place to foster those community events. This is the nature play area. It's a playground where allows kids to interact with more natural elements, learning about nature and education, kind of integrating those elements into play. These are the sports fields. So using colorful murals for basketball courts, maybe utilizing local artists in the area, making them flexible so they can be used for multiple kinds of games. So over here is the basketball courts, and over here is the football field and soccer fields. Another thing that I think was really, really important in this design was improving some of the pedestrian connections to some of these sites so that people from their homes are actually able to access these amenities. If you provide these amenities without any good way for community members to walk to them, then you're kind of defeating the purpose. So I looked at kind of different typologies of road conditions that were causing some issues. One is Aberdeen Road and one is North Mary Peak Boulevard. Aberdeen Road is a very fast road. It's 5 lanes with the middle lane being used as a turning lane in some areas. And there is a sidewalk on this road, but it is not a very great pedestrian experience. And I wanted to look at how we could improve that. And then also looking at roads like North Mary Peak Boulevard and roads that are similar to it. There are no sidewalks on this street and there's a big median. So I think there's a real opportunity for maybe utilizing some of that median space for giving it back to the pedestrian and providing sidewalks, but not totally destroying it. And maybe even using medians as a way to showcase the history of the neighborhood to people that are just driving through. So these are the 2 sections showing the quality and character that could be possible. This is North Mary Peak Boulevard and this is Aberdeen Road. These roads are named after significant community figures, so maybe even showcasing art in the median would be a really interesting idea that people, as they're driving through, would be able to see some of the community members that really helped transform this neighborhood and were really important in the founding of it. There's such a rich history, and so providing more context as people are walking through this neighborhood to who the people are that really influence this neighborhood and this community in general. So looking at the dimensions of providing 4 feet for sidewalk, some space for a vegetated buffer for trees, 20 feet so that cars are able to drive, but also still providing some of that street parking that's necessary for some homes on this road. And then shortening that median so that you still get that beautiful art installation and some of that vegetation and that canopy that's provided with that. But also making sure there's enough space for cars to drive through. And then Aberdeen Road, a similar condition where you're creating some more street trees just for that experience, getting rid of 1 lane of traffic. And you would have, in some conditions, this median would go away if there is a need for people to turn. So this isn't consistent completely through this road, but in some areas where you don't need to turn, having that availability to honor the community members and create that nice pedestrian experience. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Very nice. I particularly like the way you dealt with the edge problem along the creek. That was very important for people with disabilities as well. Keeping that in mind, and the way you dealt with the Langston Boulevard passageway. Those are good ideas, very good details. Did a good job.
Thanks.
Hi, Grace. This is Shelton. Is this? I got the name right, correct? Great. I like the plan. You put a lot of thought in. I particularly like the fact that you said that you did the sort of a lighting study for the positioning the garden area. That was brilliant. The garden, the way that it is designed, is also brilliant because it looks as if it's artwork, at least from the bird's eye view. So a lot of gardens, you just see plots, lined up like gravestones. But this was done with a good eye for art and a good usage of the space. I do like the fact that you have a central area, multi-purpose area along with the kitchen. That is also a very nice touch. The other streetscape along Aberdeen Road, I think that is, that would be ideal if they could brick it as well. So I like the 3 R's that you had in mind. That was very nice. The resilient, renewal, and remembrance. The remembrance, you did bring that into your design with the recognition of the notable people in the community. So I really like that. Very good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you did a nice job of kind of tying in your concept of remembrance, renewal, and resilience into those different areas. And I do also appreciate you took a little extra time researching some of the historic figures who lived in Aberdeen. Thinking about the pollinator garden, thinking about the kind of water reuse, using gray water for agriculture, I think is some really solid low-hanging fruit. Just from a design perspective, I thought your visuals were very well done, very detailed, and conveyed your images, conveyed the concepts pretty nicely. So excellent work.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would say really your tie-in of your site analysis to your design was really strong. And I really appreciated that, the time you took to show how you connected all your observations about site conditions and site issues into the design and how that influenced your design. That was great. I also like that you talked about things being ADA accessible. And it appears as though your plaza is probably a gravel permeable surface, which I like to see underneath the trees. And I liked your organic shapes that you provided. So it's a very thoughtful design, and I love the way you integrated the history and recognition of historic people of the community into your different throughout the design. It's nice.
Hello, my name is Marcel Janowski, and this is the Aberdeen's Garden Project in Hampton, Virginia. When thinking about the overarching themes and goals of this project, it's really important for us to understand the community's needs. I believe there are 3 things that can help really promote this project. First, we must promote community gatherings, which provides an experience of communal equity. Next, we must emphasize the sustainable management of water on site and its reuse for agriculture. And last but not least, we must celebrate the past of this community, both the designers and the residents. Here before you is a rendered site plan of the school property. A few key points of emphasis include maintaining a similar aesthetic to the neighborhood, as well as maintaining the riparian buffer adjacent to the river. Now we will further dive deep on individual spaces. The first space we will be taking a look at is the school's roadside entrance. As you can see, this space is filled with opportunity as a gathering and waiting space. By utilizing the existing infrastructure and architecture of the school building, it will be possible to make this space a prime gathering space before and after school. Some of the characteristics that promote this include a plethora of seating, an interesting background, and a photo-taking opportunity. Next up is another entry point to the school by the trailers on the south side through the parking lot. This space, like the first, is a prime opportunity for waiting, resting, and transition between a vehicle and the school. By including seating options, you are encouraging people to stay in this space, which provides a welcoming perspective for young kids at the school. It's important to note the variety of options when it comes to this kind of space. Whether it be students enjoying this space during a nice sunny day, or workers on the community farm going back and forth, this space is a perfect transition landscape. The next space we're going to be looking at is the community garden plots area. This space is intended to be an extremely important part of the community. This space includes 18 6x8 garden plots, as well as a greenhouse for year-long farming, a shed for tools, and a compost bin, as well as a vehicle turnaround to make sure that all supplies can be brought directly onto the site. The close proximity of all of these elements is extremely important, almost as important as its connectivity to the river trail path system, which goes along the river on the east side of the property. Following up that riverside path on the east side, we get to the historic Aberdeen Plaza. This space serves as a commemorative landscape for all of the important history that has occurred within this community. There is to be signage depicting the original architects who designed the neighborhood, as well as a list of the original residents. One important feature of this landscape is the focus of the user. There's bench seating occupying a third of the patio circle, all of which is faced towards the commemorative signs. The open roof structure promotes a closer connection to the natural environment around you, yet still provides a room aspect of the space. The next two spaces we'll be looking at are part of the school's critical infrastructure, play spaces. These spaces are centrally located within the school grounds and are all visible from one point, the recess plaza. Up next is the natural play area. Countless studies over the years have shown that natural play materials help the child's imagination thrive. By including textures such as mulch, rocks, sand, moss, and others, a child can experiment with natural building blocks, almost like Minecraft. When kids grow up with this kind of environment, they are more likely to have a greater understanding and connection with the natural world around them. These kind of spaces promote equity within a community. There are some important interventions which take place in improving the athletics play spaces of this site. By adding lines to the field, it will become more clear for each sport which boundaries are necessary. By adding bleachers adjacent to the field, it will be possible for classmates and others to watch while others play. The same goes for the adjacent pavilion, a covered space where people can evade the hot sun or the rain and watch others outside. Last but not least is the addition of a colorful splash to the basketball court, making the space more enjoyable. The next space we'll be looking at are the school garden plots, centrally located next to the recess plaza. This space will be crucial for the community and for the school. The reason for this being that kids can grow up learning about agriculture and processes of food growth and can then one day bring it into their own lives. It promotes an introduction of sustainability into the kids' lives, not just through reading and learning material, but from experiencing in real life. Some of the important aspects of this space include a large water cistern, which is quite visible and catches all the water from the school building, as well as the fact that there are windows surrounding the garden plots, meaning that kids who are inside the building can look out and see other kids participating without them doing it themselves. The last space we will be looking at today is the connection from the north parking lot to the school grounds. This space, albeit small, is impactful to the transition and experience of entering a school building. By emphasizing the comfort of the area using canopy trees as well as various seating opportunities, this space will promote people to feel welcomed. That experience of feeling welcomed when walking into a school building is a new type of experience, one where they feel like they can succeed through education. Subconsciously, spaces like this provide a notion that they are in the right space and they are doing the right thing, and that people care about them. Overall, this project was an awesome experience, and that's thanks to you guys. We had so many great interactions with the community, and that makes projects like this so much more real. So we hope that we are helping positively impact the community.
Okay, Marcel? Okay, good. Unmute yourself, Marcel.
Yep.
Yeah, so just a couple things that come to mind. I mean, there's a lot of the kind of the characteristics of this design that we've already seen in other designs that I still like. I still support them quite a lot. Just a couple of things that you did unique, you did a little differently that I appreciated. I thought the colorful graphics in the basketball court was a really cool kind of intervention. I like that, it's sort of a kind of an easy thing to do to really make a space unique and make it kind of exciting to play out there. So that was a thoughtful idea. And then I also really appreciated the water cistern sort of being displayed prominently, kind of making that into a kind of an interesting visual space that I think will help the students understand kind of a connection to stormwater management. And there are a lot of models where people have taken those kinds of stormwater detention features and made them into a visual asset, made it into a public art component. So good work.
Thank you.
This is Michael. I particularly like to each of you's attention to an area, a holding area where people can wait with their kids or just sit and chill out for a little bit. I like the way you entered the property and had a circle to come back out. That's very, very important. And all you guys got elements that could going to ultimately be able to be tied together to create one great project. Good job.
Well, I really appreciate it. I really did focus a lot on this project on the transition spaces in and out of the school building because from my personal experience when I went to school, it wasn't the best. And it's really important to kind of positively promote the school as a good environment for people to be able to be there more than just for school. It's a community space.
Hi, Marcel. This is Shelton. Let me tell you how you integrated that playground. I love the renderings on that. It was brilliant to kind of integrate the use of the environment into the play area. I think that was perfect. Also, you pointing out the kids' gardening play area, well, their gardening area, because that is exactly what we want to have go on. So number one, you have the play area, the playground area using the natural sources, but you also have a learning experience for the garden, but also the use of the infiltration systems, like the cisterns and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of transfers the knowledge of the use of some of the resiliency features for the wetlands. Thank you. Great job.
Did it, Mr. Shelton?
Mm-hmm.
I would just actually echo what other people have said. I think it's really always interesting to see what your focus is, each person's focus is, and how they've taken kind of common elements and made it their own, but also made it something that they felt would be a gift to the community. And so I was very interested in the way that you use the building and the outdoor spaces really adjacent to the building to improve that experience. Good job. And also make that connection between the classroom and the outdoors and the sustainability. And I think I noted quite a few people use the natural play areas as an idea, and but I think you did probably one of the most effective jobs of showing examples that were very appealing and also expressing the importance of those natural play areas in building a love of being outside and a love of the environment and nature, just getting your hands in the soil, playing with sticks. And so I think that expressing that was really one of the highlights of your project and your presentation. So thank you.
I'm Jessica, and this is my project for the Aberdeen Gardens Community Hub. So these are my goals for the project. The first one, to promote community engagement through public gathering spaces. I wanted to take advantage of the unused space behind the elementary school to create access for the public to view the creek and to create space for residents to take part in a community garden. I also noticed that there is a big need for improved circulation throughout the neighborhood, improving connectivity between public spaces, and adding more sidewalks, and also improving the quality of existing sidewalks. And then also tackling some of the environmental issues, such as managing stormwater, removing poisonous plants so that people can access the creek and walk throughout the woods safely, and also utilizing native plants that support the local ecology. So this is my master plan for my design. Basically, my concept is to create a community hub that the community can use for public gatherings and just a space for people to go to enjoy recreational activities and to relax and to gather and meet with other people. So firstly, I started with the community gardens because I know that was a big part of what the community wanted to have, was a community gardens. So that's this right here. I placed it here so that it can get adequate sunlight. And also I connected that with a smaller set of gardens for the elementary school so that they can use that for education for the elementary students so that they can learn about gardening and learning about plants. And that also ties into a community kitchen right here. So you can get, so people can use their, whatever they're growing in the garden, and you can use that to cook. Above that, we have the recreation area, the existing basketball courts here. And then I left this little field open for, so that the school can continue using that for sports and other recreational activities. Here we have an outdoor classroom connected to the school. And then below that in this corner, a picnic area for the community to, just a space where people can go to sit and hang out among the trees. And then that also is tied to a set of trails that go throughout the woods so that people can access the creek and also enjoy a nice leisurely walk through the woods. And then over here, museum is here, and I wanted to connect that to the main area of the site. So I designed improved sidewalks to add plants and a little bit more visual interest as you're walking on the sidewalks, so that that would draw people into the museum and also improve connectivity throughout the neighborhood. So here's a closer look at the community gardens and the school gardens. The school gardens here connect to the elementary school so that they can use that, and is put in a location where it can get adequate sunlight from the south and the west to make sure that there's no issues with that. And then I also placed this access road here that connects to the parking lot. And that way trucks can get in, and they will be able to bring in supplies and dirt and things to the gardens. And then that also provides access to the community kitchen. So here's a closer look at the kitchen. Right next to the gardens, that you can not only have convenience of bringing the food directly from the gardens to the kitchen, also so that while you're dining in this dining area, you can have a view of the gardens and be able to sit and appreciate the hard work that went into the food that you're eating. This place can also be used as a community gathering spot. And you can places and then for the community to use. In the trees, so that when people would want to picnic here in this summer, it would be really nice to have to be able to feel the warmth of the summer, but also be sitting in the shade so that you're not, super hot. And then also I thought it would be nice to have a picnic area because of all the really tall trees, just be expanded with that super high canopy just to the creek. And then also the path here that kids used to get to school goes right through that. So that makes it more interesting walk for them, and also adds convenience. So here's a closer look at the outdoor classroom. It's tied to the school through this exit here. You can use that for having education outside of the classroom to spice things up a little. You can use it to tie into the education of the school gardens. These benches could also double as spectator seating for the open rec field here. And then here's the improved sidewalks. This will connect the museum to the main gardens in the park, improving connectivity so that people, if you're here, you can walk from here to the museum and also have a better pedestrian experience. And even people that are not walking specifically to those places, you can have just a better experience walking along the street. You can have, it has a greater distance from the road, which is a little safer, and also having those plants around would just make it a bit of a nicer walk. And then also the connectivity from the museum to the central area would help to tie in the history of the neighborhood with the cultural aspect of the community hub. And this is a little pocket park that I wanted to include behind the museum so that people walking on the sidewalk can just come in and sit and relax in this little area behind the museum. And I wanted it to be a space where you can come to learn about and appreciate the history of the neighborhood. So I wanted to include maybe some signage to commemorate the original families that lived in the neighborhood. Thank you for listening.
Very nice. I like the way you, like I said, each of you have chosen a way to tie in all the elements to commemorate the neighborhood, the history of the neighborhood. I particularly like the spaces you provided for behind the museum. Right at this time, right now, there is nothing like that back behind the museum. So that was a good idea. Good job.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Shelton. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let me tell you, thank you for literally thinking outside the box because the focus had been just in the area around the school, but you tied in the total community, which I thought was a brilliant concept of how you tied the museum into the school and also look at that as a continuation of the educational process within the community about its history and its culture, because that's the mission of the museum. So I really appreciate the connecting that as part of the overall educational experience. I also like the concept of your this children learning as well. I'm real high on that, and you integrated that within the your renderings. And so the sidewalks, the passageways, great idea as well. Great job.
Thank you.
Hi, Jessica. I thought it was just wonderful the way that you incorporated the community gardens directly into the school. I think that, some schools may or may not welcome the inclusion of homegrown food into their cafeteria, but to discover whether or not that's viable is a really probably important conversation to have with the school leadership. So I think that, you've opened up an opportunity to really integrate, as everybody has said, the learning with the community history and with instilling this knowledge and pride of the neighborhood and its culture. And so I just think it was really, really cool. And, I think that the idea of children and maybe even each class having its own garden that they're responsible for as a part of, SOL compliant learning, which of course would have to be the case, is just a great idea. So I think it'd be interesting to see how the school would react. But I thought it was just really fun and cool. And the rendering was really cool of the outdoor cafeteria space and its literal proximity to the plots. That was really cool.
I also appreciated the way that you integrated all the whole site. That was very thoughtful, and I liked it. It could be a walking loop, even going from the museum into the park and or back around again. So it expands the community space in terms of passive recreation as well. And I love the outdoor classroom, and I personally, and I'll bet you would have liked to have had an outdoor classroom like that instead of being stuck next to a window looking outside. So, and then also, I like the way that you kept the forested area forested and acknowledged the existing paths that people are already taking and worked around those. Thank you. And also the graphics were effective, the way you highlighted the area that you were expanding on in a smaller, map, and then expanded to a bigger, and then gave those two images at the bottom. So that was a good way of communicating your design, which I think is also part of my job to tell you that too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Lizzie. My project that I'm working on is Open Arms. So the goals and objectives here, we're just focusing on connecting the neighborhood and really showing out that sense of support with the community. One of the big design principles that we want to keep in mind with this design was making sure that nature and natural designs were at the forefront, while also highlighting and keeping historical integrity. So this is the design plan that I have. It's split up into 3 big sections and then highlighting the community gardens. One's the community center, 2 outdoor nature space, and then 3 the heritage museum. And then the big star would represent the neighborhood community gardens, and the smaller stars are more of the pocket gardens. So we're focusing on the school zone. I did redesign it just a little bit, adding a few medians and more accessible sidewalks. You can see specifically that those sidewalks are going to hot interest points. So 2 of the 3 are going towards the community gardens that we would have. And the 3rd is just going straight into the residential area. We're gonna focus on the 10-foot sidewalks with the barrier in between, while also having the medians in the middle, and that'll help slow down traffic, as having these signs in place highlighting pedestrian focusing pathways. So just again to note the community gardens, there's just a few different styles of community gardens. You kind of have like the more open ones. It's kind of a little bit bigger and it's for the surrounding area. And then we have the smaller ones that are a little bit more enclosed, and that would be in the smaller spaces where it's just a few families using that instead of one whole block. So then we're going to focus on the community center portion. This is going to have the community center pavilion and the outdoor nature space. And this space is really important because as of right now, the creek is kind of dividing the 2 spaces in the neighborhood. So this design is really focusing on engaging that together. So you're really connecting the 2 sides. So just going over what we showed the last time, this is the concept designs for the community center shape, as well as showing a few sections of the walkways on either side of the creek. So this is the rendering that we did, just highlighting how it can be used in the space. You see the pavilion really casting out through the trees, and that's just representing the history coming out. Another point of focus that we have is making sure that we're not moving or removing any of the trees that are currently there. All of this would be built around the trees. You want to make sure that we're not damaging historical facts. The trees are part of history. We're just adding to it with the decking and the pavilion, but we're not getting rid of that history. So in the outdoor nature space, this is what we went over the last time, just looking for real amorphous shape in the area, as well as creating different points of height barriers or height changes. It's also focusing on natural wood elements and it's doing the same thing as the community area making sure that we're not getting rid of any of the trees. So this is the daytime, what it would look like. It's a pretty expansive area. It has multiple tiers to it, so it's really user focused. You can use it for sitting, you can play on it, and it's just an overall communing space. So here's what it would be at night. So it would have underlit spaces using with the tiers, and that offers a lot of opportunity for parents or community members to come out and kind of have like a night away, and you can host events where people can get to know each other better, or unplanned events. You could just go out to the space and enjoy it on a nice night. This drawing is just showing the connection between the school grounds and the road. It's just showing how it's going along the creek, and you would have these string lights overhanging that have bells on them. So when the wind blows, you would hear that chimes. It's kind of reminding you of the whispers of the past and how it's flowing through the site. Here's just showing where the walkways would end. It meets the road. It's showing you how it was once divided and you're bringing it together, almost like mending this, while also highlighting the focus of the stream. Again, it's a part of history. We want to look at it and we want to remember it. This is the more residential side. I changed the road layout so it would be more pedestrian focused. Overall, this is not changing the amount of pavement that you have in the area. It's just moved around a different way. So you would have the same amount of space to park your cars as you would in the previous design. It's just moving the median towards the outer area of the road. So it's promoting your pedestrian focused sidewalks. And you can see in this that we have the Heritage Museum. It has a spiral pathway just showing where this community started. This is the heart of the community, and it's kind of grasping at that museum and it's spreading out around the site. And so you see the point in the middle going out, showing the history with the community garden, the Victory Gardens. Here's just showing what that road would look like in the residential zone and how it would work, showing that there's beds that help with water intake as well as making those beds providing protection for people walking. So to focus on the heart of the community, this is the Heritage Museum grounds. You just show the spiraling of the path while also highlighting the Victory Gardens, and this space is going to be full of vegetation. It's just kind of overflowing in the space, so you feel like you're fully immersed in what was here before the community was founded and how it became to be with the community Victory Gardens. Concept of the Heritage Museum area. So this is just showing your Victory Gardens with the spiraling path, as well as it being full of vegetation. So it really feels like you're being immersed in this space. Hi, my name's Lizzie.
Okay, any comments?
Lizzie, I really appreciated the way you dealt with the night lights and the ground covering. That was a concept that nobody else had came up with so far, and that was really innovative. I like that. Good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi,
Yeah, I
Lizzie.
also thought it was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sheldon.
Okay. I really like the way that you presented the information, because you actually it looked like you superimposed on some photos you had taken, I presume, and that was brilliant. I got a sense of where you were talking about and how the concept would actually integrate into the existing environment. That was brilliant. I really like your, as Mike mentioned before, the sort of lighting and the natural use of building around, the vegetation and the landscape. And that was brilliant as well. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also really like that you incorporated sort of that audible feedback, the idea of having some wind chimes and being able to kind of incorporate that aspect into your design. So that was kind of a cool, unique thing you did. And then I just thought in general, your kind of enhancements to the pedestrian walkways in terms of creating a livable community. I thought that you addressed that really nicely. So as always, great work. You did a great job with this. I'm gonna have to hop off, so I'm gonna review the rest of the stuff, the rest of the videos, and I'll send my feedback to Minte. But I just wanted to, while I have you all, just thank you again for all the work you've done this semester. I think you've really taken some cool ideas and made them come to life. So we're really appreciative of it. And I hope that you all will stay involved and informed of this process. We'll be doing this work, all up until the summer and then maybe beyond that. So we'll be tying in a lot of your work and to a document we're developing for the city and for the neighborhood. And we're hopeful that this will turn out into some pretty cool proposals to actually get some projects put into the ground. So I just wanted to thank you all again, and we'll have all this information. We'll kind of keep everyone informed on our website, and we'll make sure Minte keeps you all in the loop. But thanks again so much, y'all. You have really done some great work this semester, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ross.
Yeah, thank you, Lizzie. It was very interesting graphics. It's very unique type of graphic work that you did. I liked the change that you did in the roadway and walkways and integrating the stormwater management into that aspect, as well as using the museum for the community gardens. That was interesting. And then integrating community gardens throughout, showing people how they could do something as a community throughout their landscape. I like that a lot. I would have liked to have seen more vegetation and less decking next to the pathways, next to the creek. I think one of the things that's really missing and is a cause of flooding downstream is that lack of vegetation. So adding more decking, which is really considered impervious surface, is I'd be a little, I'd use that a little less. The other thing I would like you to know is that you probably would not be protecting the trees with decking that built around those trees like that, because they're not going to get enough water to their roots if you have that much cover over the tree ground area around the tree trunks. So it's a common mistake that people make, is they think they've left space for the tree to move and grow, but they forgot about how the tree gets its water and nutrients. So just but it's very interesting looking, and I would go back and see if you could reorganize it so that you left about 3/4 of the root zone free and clear of trees, and integrated that into your design. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aberdeen Gardens has a rich history in victory gardens and strong ties between people in the community. Revitalizing Aberdeen to reflect and commemorate its past was the entire purpose of this project, which led to this development towards modern-day uses while still acknowledging its heritage. The idea of a homestead being self-sufficient agriculturally has ties to the past victory gardens when food was more scarce during wartime, and bringing that back today is a great way to give back to the community and provide for oneself and family during times of nationwide inflation and food shortages. Overall goals and objectives for this project, thinking about embracing agricultural sustainability in day-to-day life, whether that be environmentally or economically. Environmentally, thinking about composting and natural additions to the soil, as well as just reducing food waste in general and organic gardening, not using like pesticides or herbicides when possible. And then economically reducing the need to drive to the grocery store by having food accessible outside one store or within the community garden for sharing and having that community connectivity. Second goal being connect the community of Aberdeen Gardens to their historical past. In this case, connecting the houses themselves with paths, particularly like through the forest, which is a major divide and across the creek. And then thinking about the different spaces and how they can be used, particularly like the more public gardens versus having more of those home gardens, and kind of how those are connected and how they're shared. And then thinking about involving the younger generations in the legacy of Aberdeen, particularly with educational gardening being part of the school programming, and also providing like opportunity for children to look into the community garden and kind of mimic and try to do that themselves as part of learning and growing through the community garden. Some of the programmatic elements included having the community gardens and the greenhouse for gardening during the winter, the farmers market for sharing within the community and also with people outside the community, having different like organizations and clubs to kind of like kickstart everything, as well as incorporating like a foraging garden and of course like food throughout the forest, particularly like native edible herbs and other native plants. Of course, the educational garden for the younger generations, trails for that connectivity. Also thinking about having like a community kitchen so you can have that second step after the food is grown and thinking about like sharing meals and processing food for storing. Once again, looking back at reducing food waste and just thinking of ways to like get the community creative and involved. And this is the master plan. Arriving on the southern end of the parking lot, you enter into the community garden area. It's the circular area with the beds arranged around it. And then there's a compost and like shed and a greenhouse in that area as well. The community market is off of the parking lot, just for easy accessibility for trucks and cars and tables to be set up. The educational gardens are fenced in within their own space, like right next to the school. So they're kind of separated from the more public spaces. So it's safer and more like solely for the children to use. And then like transitioning towards more of the forest paths and the creek walk, you get into more of the like organically shaped foraging garden, where it's mostly just like native plants, thinking like beautyberry and lemon balm and I don't know, other kind of unique herbs and edible plants. And then of course, some picnic shelters and incorporating the football field and the basketball courts, which were already programs that the school needs and uses, but just tying them in with the garden and like they connected to the paths. They have their own kind of parking lot up in the northern end. And then the creek walk itself goes along the creek and also connects the blocks themselves. There's a connection down to this road and also up at the Walmart parking lot, just to bring people into this space in a more direct way. People can walk rather than have to walk all the way around or drive all the way around. And then this is just a perspective of the community garden, looking into that like that circular shape and kind of back into the foraging garden where the picnic shelter and the greenhouse is, as well as like a look over at where like the market space would be right off of the parking lot. Thank you.
Very, very nice. This is Michael. I like the way nobody else thought about the entrance from the Walmart parking lot, the little Walmart grocery store parking lot. Growing up, we used to walk through that street coming to the school. That's a real good addition. Another thing I like the way your title for your presentation about the homestead, bringing it back to what Aberdeen Gardens meant in the beginning. Excellent presentation. Once again, another element added that I didn't think about, but very good. Good job.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Shelton. Again, the concept of linking to the commercial part of the district is very interesting, and connecting that portion that was, as Mike put it, unique. I did like the overall vision that you had for the football field. And I noticed that you switched it from the length of the, I think it was the length of the back end, and kind of linked it to the basketball court area, and then had the track. Is that the track around that?
Yes, it is. I didn't mention it, but I just put it there for, I don't know.
Okay.
I always think back to like elementary school having us like run tracks or run around the field or whatever. Having like a designated space for that.
Okay. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because some people prefer to do tracks, as opposed to trails. And so that was an interesting feature. So very good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say that what we had a fish fry at the community about a month ago, and a gentleman who was a football player who had played professional football started out playing football on that field, and he named like 5 other football stars that started out on that field playing, like different parts of the neighborhood playing against one another, and doing it every Thanksgiving. So it really is a heritage, a part of the heritage of that community, and even the surrounding neighborhoods. So that was interesting to me that you caught that and included it as a goal. And also, I do like the idea of connecting it to a grocery store and shopping, the trails. That's really a good catch as well. It makes it a walkable community, and people don't have to get in their cars and drive to the grocery store. So I thought that was great as well. Also keeping the forest and rotating the playing field. By rotating the playing field, you got more space so that you don't have somebody throwing a football into the community garden, for instance. So anyway, that was a nice job. Thank you.
I just want to interject real quick. The gentleman you're speaking about, his name was Michael Dunn. He came out of high school with me. He played for Duke, and he went on to play pro football. He was out there, and he brought back a lot of memories. I'm surprised you remember that.
Yeah, that was a really, before we go on, I just wanted you all to know that we were able to show slides to the community members of your presentations, your drawings, and it got a lot of people really excited. So I just wanted you to know that we're taking it back out to the community, and maybe some of these ideas will spark some projects and change for the community. So just wanted to let you know that as well.
Okay, thank you. Owen?
And this is my design for Aberdeen Gardens Community Street and Park improvements. My first goal for this project is to protect the site from sea level rising and stormwater and implement sustainable stormwater management. Second is to create and improve the connection of community open spaces for gatherings and events to encourage community engagement. Third is to create and enhance Aberdeen Garden community characters and sense of place. This is the map that I highlighted 3 Great Street medium that can implement as stormwater improvement strategy, which is this. Currently, all the streets in the neighborhood are designed for rainwater to go off sides, right next to the pedestrian pathways. That provides threats for pedestrians when there's like heavy rain. The sidewalk will get flooded, and also the car park on the street will get flooded as well. So in this improvement, we can collect the water into the middle, the street medians, having water tolerant plants and drainage to on the street. Another strategy we can use is to using pervious pavements for driveway, parking lots, and the streets with lower vehicle traffic volumes. So this diagram for permeable pavings, which allow rainfall to move through the pavement to the soil beneath, and provide water for the plants nearby, and also reduce the runoff. This is the garden community system, which is really fitting for Aberdeen Garden Community. So first is community member have access to grow products in community gardens with Aberdeen Garden history, the Victory Garden history, and a lot of residents have gardens in their backyard. This will be a great start. Second is community member have access to use the community kitchen. We can provide a community kitchen for the community to provide social engagement, economic possibilities, and also educational possibilities. Third is to use the products grown in the gardens and food prepared in the community kitchen. We can sell at the farmers market. We can create a farmers market for the community that can also give economic development a great boost in the community. So we can use the community park in the back of the elementary school to using the system. So creating, I'm envisioning to create a place to experience the benefits of a strong connected community with a rich history and background. Also a place for farmers market and community events, a place to experience the nature, and this place will be welcome everyone in the neighborhood and features all ages. So in my concept, I divided this park into 4 sections: sports and fitness, which includes the basketball courts, the football field with baseball field, and also a fitness plaza. So for the recreation area, there will be outdoor entertainment stage with a lawn. For the social community social area, there will be outdoor community kitchen, social plaza, farmers market, and a community garden. And the last area is the nature. There will be nature trails in the woods and also connected to other parts of the community. This is a football and baseball field combined. This is a great way to using the limited space and providing both sports. And there's also going to be a fitness park, which will provide community member health infrastructures, and also encourage people to come to this park and walk around. This is a community garden. It's right next to the parking lot. It's visible for everyone, and all community members can come here and grow their products, and also like grow their own food, and also have spaces for social gathering, small social gatherings, and with comfortable seatings. This is the farmers market. So I designed the farmers market also right next to the parking lot, have great accessibility for vendors to get in there and park their truck or van inside of the pavilion to sell the products. This will be a great place for community members to gather and socialize. And here's also going to be a gathering plaza with a community kitchen, an outdoor community kitchen, which will provide grills and cleaning infrastructures like water infrastructures to cook food and also sell food at the same time. This will be a flexible space for community social events and exhibitions. So this place can be used as a lot of uses for the community. So when I designed this park, I put in a gathering lawn with a stage, a performance stage. This gives people one more reason to come here. Not only the farmers market, not only the sports, but also like music, art, just enjoying a good weekend. People can bring their own lawn chair and just enjoy the show or music. Here is the nature walking trail, which connected to other parts of the community. It will, along the trail will provide seatings and also nature play elements that can encourage kids and teenagers to come in as well, enjoy the trail. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Very good.
Oh,
Once again, you guys are I wish we could use every last idea you guys come up with, because that was really really good presentation. I like that your renderings, your concept, your concept, the way you laid things out. I particularly like the way you had the sports area set up with the football, basketball, and baseball field right there together. Is a good use of space. Very good job. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Shelton. It's two things that really stood out for me was your concept of the water handling the flooding in the area with the median, because that is a problem along that strip, is that the water drains to the home as opposed to coming through the center of the street. So that was very good with the detail there. I like the gathering area. It really was very well put together. Mike knows, just like anytime we put an event out there, we always have to go to Parks and Rec in order to get a stage. It would be good if we could actually have one there and not worry about that aspect of it. And the way that you set up the marketplace and that area, I mean, it really brought in that concept very nicely. and the placement of it and how you incorporated, so many of those elements. Very good job. Very good job.
Thank you.
I made little notes, and the stormwater management along the street was something I thought you did a great job of bringing attention to that, and that's very feasible and will solve some problems. I also like that flexible gathering space. I thought that, and I like the way that it turned in the other direction, basically to the playing fields. And I think that the setup of your community garden, the kitchen, the outdoor space, the marketplace was a really nice setup, really contained and easily accessible. I would have liked to have seen you integrate some cisterns on the school building, for instance, that had filtered water that could be used for watering the community gardens, so that because it's so close to the buildings, that would be a natural addition in my mind to because that is going to be something they're going to have to do.
Yeah.
Water those areas. So thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Shekinah Mesa, and this is my project for the Aberdeen Gardens in Hampton, Virginia. So originally we were asked to bring back community engagement in the area to better connect the neighborhood physically and socially, and to better acknowledge the history of the site with the previous Victory Gardens. The main concept from this is to make communities engage with one another and nature around them in a sustainable way. This ultimately can be summarized with biophilia and permaculture. Biophilia is the intrinsic connection between the natural world and the human experience. The concept of biophilia stemmed from the original concept of connectivity. This time it would help the community not only connect with one another, but with nature. This will be done with by implementing more vegetation throughout the streets and education on the native plants throughout the neighborhood. The main three goals of this project are connection and community, environmentally conscious design, and education. Connection and community will be created with spaces for the neighborhood to come together and socialize. Finally, defining, creating public and semi-public spaces and better pedestrian and bicycle accessibility. Environmentally conscious design will be implemented through managing flooding in the neighborhood, implementing green infrastructure, permeable pavers, and water harvesting for the irrigation system for gardens, community gardens throughout the neighborhood. Education, this will be through aiding the community in food growth strategies, helping children, students in the community learn about local ecosystems and water management, and pocket parks for signage for children to learn about the water system and native plants throughout the neighborhood. So with this concept, there were 4 major things that needed to be pointed out. That would be educational, social, gardening, and grand entrances to make the connectivity flow better. Mostly the social gathering will be in small pocket areas with pocket parks and the community garden and farmers market. Educational opportunities will be also within the pocket park, small pockets of that, and gardening will be mostly centered behind the school and in the Aberdeen Museum. So this is the master plan for the school, behind the school. First, we have a newly made crosswalk that will connect to the other side. It will go through the block of the neighborhood to better connect to the museum. There'll be a small crosswalk with a median inside. Redesigned streets with more vegetation, and with that comes pocket parks in the corners. Then we'll have raised mural walkways. I felt the loading dock kind of separated the walkways, and maybe some art will help people walk through the space a bit better, help encourage them to walk through the space more. Then there's a farmer's market, a plaza, a community garden, and some new and renovated youth fields. So first we go through the connectivity phase of the design. With street design, they'll be lined with trees and shrubbery to help with water management and shading. Crosswalks will contain a small median to help to make it more safe for people to cross the four-lane four-lane road that is currently facing the Aberdeen Elementary School. Pocket parks will be in the corners of the streets with monuments to the street names of historical African Americans that helped build this neighborhood, and also to encourage resting and social interaction throughout the circulation of the neighborhood. Next, we have the farmers market. There'll be a permanent pavilion. So right next to the parking lot for easy and quick access, lined with vegetation to help buffer from parking. And right next to the forest walks that bring you to the back of the school. There will be seating, shading, and it's also right next to a plaza with a gazebo for musical performances or theatrical performances, and shading and seating for socializing. And then there will be a large open area for picnicking, which is kind of a common thing to do in a farmer's market. Then we have the community garden. It will be fenced in to prevent any animal disruptants. The compost boxes will also be here, part of permaculture, to help preserve the food, so there's less waste in the neighborhood, and it can also contribute to the community gardens throughout the neighborhood. But this will be fenced in with vines to sort of have that more biophilic feel, and it will also have a pergola for seating, for socializing. And there will be a small in-ground garden around the pergola and some raised beds throughout the walk of the community garden. Then we go into recreational fields, just adding a small soccer field to encourage different sports. And I noticed the current sports fields or sport courts are a bit under maintained. So those will be renovated. And also small dugouts will be provided for the players for shade. And a path will be running through to connect to the plaza and the farmers market to better activate this space, as it seems currently underused. And then we have the Aberdeen Museum on the other side of the block. This is mostly just a small design to better help improve attendance to the museum and help people learn more about gardening in itself. It's a small North Star Plaza, which symbolizes hope, guidance, and protection. I think that summarizes the neighborhood fairly well. Here we'll have the water tanks, which is also part of permaculture, for harvesting water from the roofs, raised garden beds, again, for practicing, learning about gardening. There'll be a shovel statue to honor the Black designers and builders of the neighborhood, educational walls explaining gardening process, a community outdoor kitchen for canning, and you can set up a seed shop inside the museum to help visitors get native plants from here, or also just the neighborhood in general, to obtain more plants for their gardens. And a riparian buffer at the end of the property, which touches the creek. And that's all. Thank you for listening.
Very good, very good. Once again, like I keep saying, you guys got the whole concept. You got the idea perfectly. I particularly like the seed shop you spoke about in reference to tying in the museum, having a some type of resource that they could expound on to help the community out. Good job, though. Very good job.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Shelton. One of the things that is very good to see, when you see renderings, you get a concept of how things fit. We've been living and going to this community, imagining what could be. And so when you, for example, your rendering of that corner I imagine at the corner of maybe Weaver Road or one of those corners, you have that area with the monument and the seating. That is so perfect. I mean, that's kind of puts together the feeling of a park, of a important area, and you really captured that one. I like that one, and I like your overall placement of the back of the school. That was very well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, your renderings are really beautiful. And I love those little pocket parks at the corners with the statues or monuments. It was something that stuck in my mind from the last time you presented that concept, and I really liked it a lot. I also like the attention that you paid to the museum space and all the interactive activities and use of that museum space. Also restoring the riparian buffer as well as integrating the permaculture into this. Like the cistern that you suggested at the museum, and as I suggested previously to Owen, you've now added 3 hard surfaces in terms of structures or close to that community garden that you could be capturing water and treating it,
Gotcha.
and then you reusing it. And so I would just that would be the thing I would think about. And I like the idea of the informal kind of picnic area next to the more formal paved area. And also it looks like you've provided again a place for music and dancing if people wanted to on the paved surface. You could make that pervious as well.
Yeah.
But nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rachel Reisenfeld, and this is my project called Aberdeen Gardens, connecting the remnants of the past to the future. So my goals and objectives are to increase connectivity, accessibility, and community through reforming of the neighborhood landscape, to create a series of paths that link together the remaining Victory Gardens in order to link together and preserve the remnants of the past, and to activate the elementary school's outdoor open space with a diverse array of programming in order to strengthen community bonds between the older and younger generations. So this is my concept as well as my functional diagram. And so the overall neighborhood scale plan would connect the remnants of the Victory Gardens that are surrounding the elementary school now, as well as around the area with the neighborhood and the historic museum 2 streets away. And because the elementary school is surrounded by the Victory Gardens, the programming of the open field into a community park keeps the public space centered within its own history. And so here is my site plan. And so I have 8 to 9 different elements that I've been thinking that I wanted to show you. And so the first area is the reformed streetscape. And so redesigning the neighborhood streetscape will promote walking and biking, which encourages better neighborhood interaction and increased contact with the outdoors. Rain gardens and trees will help with the stormwater drainage and provide shade during the warmer season. And next to this are my 2 sections that I've created. And so the top one are for secondary roads with roughly 60 feet with them. And so you can have a walking path as well as a bike lane next to each other so that people aren't running into each other when they're walking down the street. And then you have 11-foot car lanes with 7 to 8 feet rain gardens, give or take. And then for the main road, you would still have the walking path and the bike lane and the rain gardens and the car lanes as well. But you would also have a 9 to 10 foot parking area. So it's not taking away any potential parking spaces within the neighborhood along the street. And so the second area I wanted to talk about was the expanded play area. And the additions that I would add to the play area would be a rope playground. And rope playgrounds are noted for helping with children's development of motor skills, and they improve balance and coordination, muscle development, as well as cognitive problem solving. And so I thought this was a really interesting way to help the kids learn and to have an actually good, nice area of space to play. And the reason this is extended is because I reoriented the other side of the school and took away the playground over there. And so I think that connecting this back to near the parking lot and near where the main community space is creates a better sense of connectivity, and parents are also able to watch their kids better while participating in other activities. And the other things I would add would be a painted sprint track. So if children want to run, if they want to race each other, they have a painted area where they can do so safely. And then a seesaw as well. And so my third area would be the main community market. And so this would be where the farmers market would be held. And so it would include an eating plaza, a performance stage, a choir to garden area if you wanted to get away from all the noise, as well as a community kitchen, which is the little red building that is sticking out from the arc. And so this is significant. I put it here because it's within reach of, in viewing distance with the play area, the community garden, the outdoor classroom, and the soccer fields. So it's all right here. And that causes a better community connection. And then also has a better flexibility of use. So in regards to elementary school, it can be a place where outdoor school assemblies are held. It can be where the farmers market is held. And during the winter, it can be where the Christmas tree or Christmas market or winter markets can be held as well. And so the red structure would be where the tents would be. And then you have the eating plaza, which is where the trees would be, and the performance stage right below it, and then the community kitchen right next to the performance stage. And so directly east, directly east of the community market would be the outdoor classroom. And so this outdoor classroom would include an outdoor amphitheater, an outside blackboard space, and movable tables and chairs. And the reason I put this here is because it allows closer access to the creek. So when doing environmental education or science classes, you have access to the creek. And so its primary use is quieter classroom teaching, and then also possibly smaller class assemblies and scavenger hunts, with potential for use as a place for independent clubs and or independent groups to meet and gather. And so next are the community and school gardens. And so from my understanding, the existing Victory Gardens are private, they are not public. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to create a new community garden and then design that community garden so that it is at the center of all the other Victory Gardens. So it's bringing it all back to the community and centering the community garden within the neighborhood's history. It is also within walking distance of the community kitchen, emulating the history of the neighborhood. So if you want to harvest any plants and then immediately go cook it, or go to the gathering shelter right next to it to eat them, you certainly can do that. And then the school gardens inside the school courtyard would double as both a learning garden for children to learn how to work with and take care of plants, as well as a literal food garden for school lunches. So this would be for the school cafeteria. And then finally, we have the sports fields and the basketball court. And so I reoriented the baseball and basketball courts in order to maximize the greatest amount of open space possible. And then I added 3 soccer fields on the right in order to diversify the types of sports that people are able to do in the community. And so the basketball courts in particular were reoriented close to the building in order to create room for a gathering shelter, as well as proper spectator bleachers for both the courts and the baseball field. And the baseball field can also be used for softball and kickball and other physical education classes for the elementary school. And then I also added new space for the dugouts. And also the other reason I reoriented the basketball courts is because I felt that they were in a very odd location, and I thought it was a better way of activating that school courtyard where the smaller playground used to be. So now it doesn't seem very isolated because now you have a bunch of things that are closely connected with each other. And then the new gathering shelter also provides opportunity for more private individual parties and events separate from the main community space. So if there's something going on in the community space and you want to have a separate party, if you want to have a separate dinner, cookout, anything, you have the option to go to this other private shelter on the other side of the school so that there's no conflict or overlap. And that is my project. Thank you for your time and listening to me, and thank you for the opportunity to work on this.
I'd like to say something. This is Michael again. I love your format. I love the way you introduced each element of this project as it fitted into the space that we're using. I think that ultimately that format should be used when if ever introduced to the city in any kind of fashion. Very, very good job. An excellent use of space with regard to the playing fields.
Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Shelton. I also like the use of the athletic, the connectivity of the athletic portion of the segment, and also the continuity you had in the marketplace kitchen area and kind of the public space. Very good use of that. And the renderings were very clear and concise about tying all of that in. Very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you did a nice job of the renderings, Rachel, and I thought that was interesting. Your play space and expanded play space and probably multiple age groups too. I wonder if sometimes elementary schools have two separate playgrounds for young kids versus older kids.
It was like that in my elementary school, yeah.
Yeah. That might be why one was on one side of the school and the other was on the other side of the school. You probably heard my comment about football. So football's probably more important than soccer, and just recognizing that. I liked your two different models for your streetscapes. The secondary streets probably need parking on street parking, so may have to give up the bike trails on the side so that there's at least on-street parking. But otherwise, I think you've incorporated what we asked you to incorporate, and you did it in a sensitive way, and good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone from Hampton. This is C, and this is my proposal about the community engagement park at the Aberdeen Primary School. And this is my goals and objectives. First is to create a communal space that engages everyone. I think it is very important to provide an accessible community space at the core of the community, to improve the walkability and to have the pedestrian as the priority of this design, and design spaces to support community programs and daily activities. Second is to celebrate the Victory Garden. We should bring back the Victory Garden, allowing community people and kids to work in and harvest the products, combine agriculture with parks and community space, so we are productive but also educational, engaging, and entertaining, and connect existing Victory Garden and create a green loop. Third is considering stormwater management and resilience, wetland wash trail along the creek, and also incorporate water collection and infiltration structures along the sidewalks. This is the green loop I proposed to connect Aberdeen Garden Museum, Primary School, Community Park, the Creekside Trail, and also some existing Victory backyard gardens. Different from the existing street condition, I'm adding more water management infrastructures like swales along the street, and also adding more pedestrian cross to improve the walkability. What I propose in the Aberdeen Garden Museum is a historic Victory Garden showcase and also an outdoor museum. A showcase would include crops being planted in a historic layout, and also we can have old-time like garden tool gallery in a tool house, and some signs and boards to introduce what is the Garden of Victory, and we can have some historic photos being posted on it. Okay, let's move to the primary school side. Let me introduce you the programs. So here are 5 major areas. The orange is the farmers market and community gathering space. Light green is Victory Gardens. Yellow is Kids Park, Fitness Park, and Dogs Park. Light red is Sports Field, and blue is the Creek Watch Trail. There are 5 entrances. 2 major entrances connects to Aberdeen Road, and another 3 connects to neighborhoods and also the parking lot behind the Walmart. I'm just trying to create as much accessibility as possible to engage everyone in this community. This is the plan and legends, but please let me introduce you the details by a 3D video. This is what you will see if you access the park from the Aberdeen Road. Here I add an entrance with some seats and shade, so if parents are waiting for their kids, they can also use this space to wait. Go through the parking lot, you will see the farmers market. If you want to go to the park directly, you can also choose the path on the right. And you can see a small parking lot behind the shelter if there's an event, and you can load some equipment, and it's also good for ADA access. On the right of the major path, here's some vacant space. You can place more stalls if the shelter is full. And on the left side, here is the community kitchen and the farmers market shelter. The community kitchen is also be designed for multi-use, like farmers market. On the other side of the lawn, here's a flexible seating area under the shade. If you get some food from the farmers market, if you just want to chat, you can take a seat and enjoy your time. And this plaza is also good for all kinds of events and small concerts. People can bring their own seats, and this space can handle a large group. Following the major path, here is the Victory Garden area. On the left, it is the pollinated garden. At the center is the herbs and annual crops planting beds and the greenhouse. On the right is the child and adults fitness park. It should have more adult sport equipment, but it is really hard to find it online. Okay, let's go back to the major path. On the left side, here's the pollinated garden. A pollinated garden will support insects and birds, which can also make the agriculture garden be more productive. And we can have the signs and name tags of different plants to be educative for primary school students. Here, the central planting beds, I think this is a good place to celebrate it 105 historic housing, but I just don't have a design yet. If you have a good idea, it's a nice spot to place. Okay, let's go to the other side. The major path is designed to be accessible by working vehicles. And this is the tool storage house and the compost piles. And people living in this community can also feel free to bring their kitchen garbage to recycle and make compost. So here are 2 parts of agriculture gardens. The raised planting beds are mainly herbs, which requires more maintenance, and the planting beds on the ground are annual plants. Agriculture does have a strong seasonality, so we have a greenhouse at the center of the Victory Garden. If it is the winter, people love gardening still have a place to go. Okay, here is the sports area. On the left, here is a basketball field, and on the right is a combined field, which is a soccer field plus baseball field. And here's an audience bleacher. You can take a seat and watch the game. On the other side is the baseball field, and here's also audience seats. Walking uphill into the woods, here is a resting areas connects to 3 paths. The path on the left connects to Walmart's parking lot, the one at the center connects to the neighborhood residential area, and the one on the right is the Creekside Watch Trail. I did some regrading work to connect the low area with the creek to expand the creek and create a retention space. Most of the time, this retention space is dry, and you will only see the water table this high when there is a flood. This is the Creekside Watching Trail. The creek should be much narrower. You will only see this when there's a flooding. And I have a suggestion. If we're regrading this area, we can open up the creek a little bit and to make the creek wider and easier for people to access. On the right, here's a vacant space, a dog park, and from here it ties back to the Victory Garden. Okay, and this is all about the Creekside Trail area. This path will connect back to the East Weaver Road. Okay, this is my proposal. Hope it can be helpful to generate some ideas. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, this is Michael, and once again, I just want to say that was a wonderful presentation. I like the artwork and the audio visual. It was very good, and different ideas. To play Shireen for a minute, I did see a lot of concrete, not a lot of green space. I mean, it was plenty of green space, but it was a lot of concrete. You might want to address that. And once again, baseball is not as prominent out there as football is, so we might want to reconsider. But excellent presentation. I love the way you laid it out.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Shelton. Brilliant. That was a great presentation. I love your use of CAD CAM and that helps you visualize and like I said, actually be a part of what you've designed here. I was waiting for the pet part. I love that concept. And I think that should definitely be included because we do have people who walk their dogs out there or around the vicinity. So to have a concentrated area, that's brilliant. The good use of space, the way that you identified the walking areas and connecting the community, and particularly the Walmart area, which was brought out in earlier. I think that's brilliant. Great job on the visuals and bringing us into your world and your concept about Aberdeen. Thank you.
Thanks. I was interested to see how Michael and Shelton responded to the video because it definitely, you have an advantage over a lot of people in your presentation when you have that technology at your fingertips. I think you've added some stormwater management with the creek expansion, and I like seeing that. I would take away some of the lawn and get back to the riparian buffers and making sure that you're not removing stormwater management features, which trees are stormwater management features. And then I think the plaza is really nice, but maybe not an appropriate grandiose type of plaza. So part of it probably is what you have at your fingertips in terms of renderings, to use, but maybe you don't need such a big paved area. But I think you've integrated, I like the integration of the pollinator with the vegetable garden. I would also say, once again, when you have all that impervious surface, whether it's roofs or parking or paving, think about how you're going to manage all that stormwater, because you're actually adding stormwater to the system rather than managing that stormwater or reducing the stormwater runoff. So just think about that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your feedback.
About my vision for Aberdeen Gardens. So the community was originally finished and built in 1938. It had an original 158 homes. Today it's grown to be a little bit larger. It's a very historic and known community in the area. It employed a lot of African Americans who were looking for single family homes at the time when it was originally built. The biggest threat to the community itself today is stormwater management and water, mainly flooding. Flooding can be anywhere between 6 to 8 inches, supposedly. And the main concern is flooding of streets and then potentially of homes. So This map drawn here kind of shows how water flows, so that dotted line is the creeks, Aberdeen Creek. And then these dashed lines and arrows kind of show how water flows to certain areas and then moves along these streets. My goals and objective: embrace the long, important history of Aberdeen Gardens, talk about the historic streets, bring them to life almost in a way, transform that streetscape to be a cohesive pedestrian system. Right now, it's kind of focused on cars, and that's weird because this is such a neighborhood-loving community that it doesn't make sense for that. And then provide a new stormwater management strategy or strategies to help tackle this issue of water in the neighborhood. And then when looking at programmatic elements, I'd like to focus on 3 aspects: history, learning, and growth and play. Here, how do I kind of apply those 3 aspects? Well, the areas in orange are going to be the areas for history and learning. The green areas are more of your recreational spaces that can feature both learning and history, and then in these blue areas, which will be where stormwater management is going to be emphasized heavily at. So all in all, these are spaces I could tackle. Michael talked about a lot about how he wanted a history trail. Unfortunately, I can't do all that in the time I had. I wish I could. Talk to me when I have some free time, and I'd love to help out. But this is just a general over idea of what areas I could have worked on for the project itself. It seemed like the class decided to work on Aberdeen Elementary School, which is great. This is my kind of area of design and what I was focusing on. And here's my site plan for the Linwood Butch Harper Park. Butch was a giant in the community. I've heard about him. I never got the opportunity to beat him, but I've met him at I saw him at a few AAU games at Boo Williams. So I know how important of a person is, and I feel like this does a good job in amounting to his personality and who he was in the community. So this park really focuses on those 3 aspects I was talking about: learning, history, and growth and play. So growth and play, there was a lot of talk about wanting a community garden. No one really said what specifically, so I looked at agroforestry, specifically 2 different types of food forest. One is your more traditional orchard style. The other is a guild system. Along with this, notice there's the rec field that has a big enough football field, mural basketball courts, shaded seating, and a sundial garden, along with a grassland area. These are just some areas, what they could look like. I really like the idea of the sundial garden. I feel like kids would love that. And then the fruit tree guilds are really cool, and I think teachers would actually love to see that happen. Stormwater management, to the side of it, my first area of intervention is going to be here along the entrance drive, where I'm pretty sure buses or cars drop off kids. These are going to be water infiltration pits, kind of like rain gardens, except they don't have vegetation in them. That second area is going to be that grassland area here. Currently, there's a ditch going along that. I'd like to remove that ditch and add in a dry creek that would drain into Aberdeen Creek. So a lot with dealing with some of that water issues. And then 3, stabilizing Aberdeen Creek itself, giving it some more room to breathe. And then these medians I've developed on the main roads are another thing I'm looking at. I'd like to add these as pedestrian corridors that have rain gardens on both sides. Kind of looking at what that middle roundabout intersection could be an area to show what rain gardens are. Historical signage and science signage, tell people what's going on here, and then have like a nice figure piece in the middle, kind of make it oh, you want to come to this place. These are what the possibility of those pedestrian corridors could look like on these streets in Aberdeen. Each little one would have their own signage saying, oh, this is Ferguson Street. I put this as Aberdeen Gardens just because this is the one right in front of the school, and it kind of made the most sense. But yeah, so you have rain gardens to help track in water, clean the water before it goes back into our water system. And then people are the biggest thing that make the community a whole itself. I had mentioned earlier in my last presentation about having family markers and posts. I really want to keep that up with the historic homes, or maybe not even historic homes. It brings in a nice tie into the community, and with potential further planning, it'd be really cool to have that like oral history kind of go along each post or markers, or like that's curated by each family or whatnot, or etc. And maybe that's how you build something like a history trail throughout the community. But yeah, I'm looking ahead. Make sure we emphasize people who've helped build this community. And I really do feel like Butch Harper Park is a great place for that. So thank you. I loved working on this project as someone who grew up in Northampton, just 5 minutes up the road. So it's awesome to do this.
Well, Jake, you know how I feel. So that was wonderful. You captured a lot of things we talked about, and it's again, I can't express enough how you guys have really captured a lot, all of it, all and beyond the elements that we had in mind. That was a wonderful presentation. You were able to give a different perspective because you know the area.
Yeah, exactly.
And that really made me feel good. So good job, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, Jake. This is Shelton.
Hey, Shelton.
Hi. I thought you incorporated all of the elements that that we discussed, and that circular piece right there. I said it just begs for almost like a little statue.
Yeah, exactly. Or something. I couldn't find a statue I liked enough, but I was like, something like that.
That's what
Maybe get a local artist or something in there.
Yeah, but I do like. I don't know. I saw a rendering early, and I don't know what it was. I'm talking about early, as in the last time you guys presented, where they had the mural in the basketball court. I thought that.
Yeah, I had that on my plan.
Yeah, I thought that was like awesome. So thanks a lot for that, and great presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. I liked the fact that you did that analysis of how water moves through the whole area, and you kind of took it out beyond the space that you were going to focus on. I also like the way that you integrated pedestrian with the rain gardens in the median, as well as that circular area. And I'd never heard of is it a tree guild? Is that what you called it?
Yeah, it's a guild. It's like a group of plants that are like symbiotic and like help each other grow.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like that a lot. I just was listening to braiding sweetgrass yesterday, and how the corn, beans, and squash grow together and they encourage growth, which is it's very, very interesting, and it's has to do with how it's a symbiotic relationship. So that was interesting to me. I like that. It's unique, and I had never heard that before. Also, the use of a food forest. I wasn't quite sure. It looked like you cut down a lot of trees for the concept, and I never like to lose that many trees if we can keep.
Yeah.
So, but I think you did a nice job, and I also liked, as I mentioned before with others, the idea of like the intersections being part of a historic education wayfinding. That's really interesting, because you may have people coming from outside the community now coming through the community, and they get to learn about it as well. So it's a gift to visitors as well. So thank you. And your sensitivity to the community and understanding the community came out in your design. Thank you.
Thanks.
So hello, everyone. Hope everyone enjoyed all the presentations today. I'm the last one.
My name is Chandler Carruthers, and my project is called Growth of Aberdeen. So I kept it around three main ideas: the growth of life, the growth of work, and the growth of play. I felt like this community is going through a large period of rejuvenation, and I feel like we should celebrate that with a new center of the community. So I wanted to incorporate life, work, and play into this site. And there are several elements that came from that. One being an entrance monument, a meadow, riparian buffer walk, an emphasis on water harvesting, basically creating multi-sensory experiences with a strong vegetative presence on site to bring people in and connect them with nature. The second main concept was the growth of work. So as someone that's worked on a landscaping site, boots on the ground, really getting to know how gardens work, a working garden works, I felt like developing an efficient network of workspaces would help to ground the community and help to streamline this jump-starting of the community gardens. The third concept is the growth of play. So providing several play experiences for children and adults to enjoy this area. And that would be through a natural play area, a new soccer field or football field, and a new concessions village. So this is the master plan. I'll analyze it in a moment. I just wanted to emphasize that some of the elements that I will be covering around the elementary school are in the museum site as well. So I'll be focusing on the museum site, on the elementary site for this presentation. But the analysis goes as thus. So there was a really nice area in front of the school that I felt like should be turned into an entrance monument, celebrated, creating a place that says, this is Aberdeen and welcome to our community. And then that could include some stormwater elements such as rain gardens and pervious gravel. And then moving along through into the parking that you're all familiar with, we have a new market house that could provide a launching pad for community events or elementary school events, leading into a new outdoor kitchen, which would have water harvesting, compost bins, some nice vegetation, a nice place to prepare some of these vegetables from the garden, as well as a nice forested backdrop, making sure that the trees and the riparian buffer are preserved, but also providing a new walking experience, best of both worlds. In this area as well, there would be a community garden, so several different planting types could happen here in planting boxes or planting directly into the ground, or in a hoop house. So hoop houses can provide a nice bit of shade for certain types of plants. So really getting kids familiar with the wonderful Virginia climate and how we have so many different plantings in this area. So making sure that they have exposure to everything is critical. And then also providing some areas for tools and vehicles or et cetera, maintenance things. And then in addition, the new natural play areas, so removing some of that older play equipment and replacing it with more natural elements to fit within this idea of rejuvenation and connecting with nature. Also providing more pervious space so that water can infiltrate into this area, leading into a new stormwater meadow that separates the new play field from the community garden, but providing a walkway between. And then I opted to take out the baseball field. I've heard a lot of community members saying that the baseball field in this area just really wasn't being used. So I provided a big field. It's as large as possible. Many different events can happen here for children and adults. So lacrosse, football, flag football. If the elementary school wants to have a field day, they can have it out here. Anything is possible on this field. But also the basketball fields would be preserved, but a new concessions village would be incorporated. So providing some new pathways with permeable pavers, as well as several different types of bleachers, and providing some nice shade for that area so that you're not just sitting in the blazing sun all day. So let's begin with the design walkthrough. So this is the entrance. This is the first thing you see. I felt like a nice curving knee wall would be really nice, as well as some signage saying, "This is Aberdeen Elementary. Welcome. This is our community." In the front, there would be, of course, the signage and several gaps throughout the wall, so it's not just an oppressive element, but also two sides to the wall. So the first side, the front side, would be rain gardens, so the land would be sunken down and filled with several different types of native vegetation that would help to infiltrate some of that water and also just provide a really nice visual element. And then if, let's say a child's waiting for the bus, they can go sit over here, put their feet up, hang out on the wall. There's some gravel in the back so that they can walk up to the wall and just kind of hang out. But then that gravel should also be, the water should be able to infiltrate that as well. And then also making sure that there's some lighting in this area. So if there are any late time events, you can still see in this area. And it also provide a nice viewing experience if you're entering the community late at night. So continuing from that, we have the farmers market roundabout. So there was a recent farmer road extension. So I felt like building from that would be nice and creating a market house space. Just a simple structure, but curved, a more natural form, providing a opportunity for community members to sell art or have musical events, just a nice community gathering space right in the elementary school where families can gather. Also providing a nice transition space, a waiting space. So let's say that the elementary school is having a field trip. Everyone can gather here and then the bus can just pull up, everyone loads up and heads on their way ready for an adventure. Also other holiday events such as Halloween and Christmas can happen here. Making sure that we have a nice diverse planting palette with tall trees so that you could hang some lights in this area if you wanted to. In addition, I've heard several community members mention impervious surface. So I really wanted to emphasize that by making sure that this area has plenty of areas that are vegetated right in the front. It helps to ground you, make these built elements not feel so oppressive. You can just feel like you're entering into a nice balanced area. So next is the community garden. We're going to spend a little bit of time on this slide, so prepare yourself. First thing would be water scarcity and creating some water drums for purification and reuse. Reuse is going to be very critical over the next 50 years as storm surge hits this area and other parts of the country dry up. So educating children on the importance of water use is paramount, and doing that right at the elementary school age is the best place to do it. Also providing some compost bins so that we can teach kids how to properly dispose of food waste and fertilize the vegetables in the garden as much as possible. Having a picnic area nearby this outdoor kitchen would be nice so that it doesn't feel like you're just crammed in this one little space. I mean, it's fairly big. It's like 20 by 30, but having a nice little lawn for picnics would also be nice for those larger elementary school events or community events. As I mentioned before, some shade houses or hoop houses, whatever you like to call them. They are nice little ways to have microclimates so we can grow various types of plants in here, like little mosses or ferns, etc., or storing tree saplings. So sun-sensitive plants. Maybe you want to sell them at the farmer's market or something. They can be stored here, and it would be really nice to break them out at certain times. The walkway. So I felt like having a long open walkway between the farmer's market and the concessions village over by the basketball fields would be nice. So the school is to your left and the soccer field's to your right. You're walking through the natural play area. And I wanted to point out Stormwater Meadow so that this would be nice and grassed with native plantings so that water is infiltrating in as many places as possible on the site. I know the site's very flat. Grading is very important, drainage is very important. So having as many areas for water storage and filtering is paramount. But then also having a natural play area. So having some rocks and logs for the kids to play on during recess, if they're not playing a formal event like football, soccer, etc. They can just kind of hang out here. And then it also provides another waiting area for adults and children. And then finally, we enter into the concessions village. So this is on the north side of the site, where this is looking from the north side parking lot into the basketball fields right here. So several things to point out would be the large amount of vegetation in here, so that, you know, when you're out here for a long day of play, you don't have to be in the sun, you have plenty of shade, and there's plenty of places for water to infiltrate. In addition, new bleachers, yay, for the basketball courts. I know that I get really tired really fast. I'm not that active. So having places to sit down would be really nice, and storing my stuff. This is another perspective, really getting you into the concessions village. So a couple things to point out. Restrooms on this side of the site. That's really nice. I noticed when we went on our site visit, I didn't see a restroom except for a porta potty. So having some formal restrooms for those formal sporting events would be awesome. In addition, having a place for food and drinks. So if, and this can be, you know, family friendly drinks, you know, alcohol doesn't need to be sold here, but it could just be like Gatorade and water for the kids playing sports, or a place to store your orange peels or, you know, juicy drop pops. I don't know what the kids eat these days. And then also having some trash. And then finally, some sunken drainage areas and permeable pavers to provide a nice central vegetative element, as well as providing more, you know, more places for water to infiltrate. And that is Growth of Aberdeen. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.
I did really enjoy it, especially the vendors area, because that's one of the things that these youth programs like to do. They like to raise money and they like to raise funds, and that creates a whole different avenue for these youth groups. So good job, good presentation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Hi, this is Shelton. I really like you put some thought into this presentation in terms of definitely addressing the wetland issues. One of the things that you brought out was that front barrier, which I thought was very important, because when I look at it, I see it almost as a waste of useful space. And as you mentioned, it would be a nice area for sitting and lighting, a good introduction to the school, and to put in the resiliency features there is a nice touch to that as well. So I like the way that you integrated all of the water features that you did, and you paid attention to the water filtration issues that we have in the area. Very good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheldon.
Nice to be benefiting from the last presentation and hearing all the comments, and then being able to bring to our attention the things that we found important. And so bravo on all the stormwater management that you've integrated into there, and the wet meadow, or wetlands meadow is nice, and of course that adds pollinators, which are great for the gardens as well. Your renderings were really interesting and beautiful. They almost looked like an artist's put it together, you know, like you did the drawings yourself. I don't know if you did, but they were quite beautiful. And I also think that I liked your theme and your clear way of expressing your theme. And then how you integrated those themes into your design. So good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Shireen.
Thank you, guests. Do you have any final comments to students? By the way, students, everyone actually, can you turn on your videos so that we have the good shot of everyone in the video? Okay, Michael Shelton, do you have any final comments?
I'm driving right now, so
Oh.
all I want to say is I appreciate everything you guys did. You guys took the concepts of what we thought, what we had in our minds, and put them on paper or put them on digital. You did a good job, and I think if we incorporate everything that each one of you done, we'll have a wonderful project, a beautiful project. So bravo to you guys for your hard work. I really appreciate it.
This is Shelton. A couple of things on the renderings. One of the things that I see happening is what actually happened at the last meeting that we had with the community, in which we have all of these renderings available, and then the community members can actually pick out some of the elements that they like and they want to see. And so within the community, how we do that process going forward, I'm not sure, but certainly what you guys have done is foundational to this process. And we really appreciate that, because now instead of just talking about it, we could point to it and say, this is something right here. And as you know, that a lot of people are more visual than they are, by thinking of the concept. So we really appreciate the effort that was put forward into this particular project. And bravo to you all and to the professor as well in guiding this process, because it seemed very fluid. And it really showed that you guys really put a lot of thought into our community. And that's, we could not thank you enough for that. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say this was successful, Minte. They did this a little differently than they have in the past, where they really focused just for a month on this project while they were juggling some other projects at the same time. And sometimes when you have a more time, you might have developed it a little bit more and integrated some of our comments. But I think you came a long way in a short period of time and came up with some really clever ideas and approaches that will spark a lot of really great conversations with the community. And I just recently did a presentation about how the collaborative tends to work. And that is what we're hoping for, is that you are the start of some conversations. And then the community can come together and start thinking about what they loved about each of your projects and what they didn't love. And the next time around, we'll do something, we'll take those ideas and refine them and start building a plan for how to implement the projects, how to fund them and implement them. So it's often the sparks ideas that end up in the next stage of conceptual plan that then might be taken by a professional and refined with community input. And then there's a plan that can be funded. And so so this work is really valuable, and we're looking forward to continuing to use it. Ross is going to post your final designs on our website. We have a landing page, Aberdeen Gardens landing page on Wetlands Watch Collaboratory website. And community members can go there and watch the videos that you've done. And also we're using it to recruit more interest. So we've had several people get online and fill out that they're interested in being involved and engaged. So it's raising a broader engagement. So I just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of value to the work that you're doing. And please stay in touch with us, with Wetlands Watch, or in general. And if, you know, as you're getting ready to graduate, if you don't already have jobs lined up, let us know, because people are always asking. Oh, yeah, Jake, I was wondering if you were working on that food forest project. Is that with the green community? I read about it in the paper. There's a green, what's the name of that community group?
It's over by STEM Discovery on 7th Street, but they have a lot of funding right now from the DOF for just tree removal.
Yeah.
So that's free money. You know, you and Michael and Shelton can go after. Just talk to the Department of Forestry, and they can come survey your trees and see which ones are actually harmful or not, and they'll pay for it to get them removed and everything.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's community foresters that act as advisors, and then they also have grant funding as well.
Let me mention, thank you. Let me mention, that was another thing on that last presentation. Who gave the last presentation?
Chandler?
Yeah, Chandler. Yeah, when you said you took the baseball diamond out, you may want to put it back in, because the MLD is putting a lot of grant money into communities to shore up African American baseball players, and of course they're starting as early as possible. So we've seen, I know at my alma mater, they're looking at buying a whole field and putting a whole field in, which is a HBCU. So you know, I just, when you said you took that out, because you heard from a lot of community members that yes, right now it's probably not used for baseball, but I hear that there's an incentive on the way to get it and incorporate it back into the community. So thank you.
Grant money's great.
Yeah.
So.
Money's great. Okay, great. Thank you, Shireen. As always, you make these projects happen. So thank you. And Michael and Shelton, your comments were like professional comments. If people didn't know, they would think that you are the professional designers. Thank you for all of those great comments that you made. I hope the students' project inspiring you guys to do, go further and actually make something happen. And students, thank you. And you guys made great contribution, and your projects are making impacts, will make impacts in the communities, both here and Virginia Beach. And so it's great work.
Yeah, Billy Almond has shared your work in Virginia Beach, and he's gotten feedback from the economic development group that he's part of too. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some result from that as well.
Okay, well, thank you, guests. I'm gonna have a few chats with the students afterwards. So
okay. Well,
okay. We'll
happy
keep in touch.
holidays. Happy holidays, everybody. Have a nice break and good luck finishing up the semester.
Yes, congratulations to any of you graduates.
Yeah.
And and happy holidays to you all.
Well, I got to go to a meeting now, so.
All right.
Thank you, Michael and
All right.
Shelton, for coming. Thank
All
you
right.
for your input.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.